Okay, welcome back to QuickBooks. As I've mentioned before, so now that we've gone through chapter 4, which was all about understanding how to enter our bills in, but also how to enter in our vendors. Now today is going to be the sales process. So this is going to be dealing with our customers. Yay. Now, this is how I understand chapter 2 and chapter 3. Customers, the sales process is actually one of the largest sections in QuickBooks. As you've seen before, right? Our homepage is divided into three main categories, right? Our three main people that make up our business: our vendors, and then we have our customers, and then our employees. The middle section, which is the customers, right, is going to be the most expansive chapter and the most content filled, that they had to split it up into two chapters. So chapter 2 is going to be looking at dealing with the initial sales process, and then chapter 3 is going to be dealing with what happens when we have customer credits, and also dealing with when we need to send out statements, and our full reports are going to be talked about in chapter 3. However, for today, we are just going to take a look at the initial section for the sales process. So again, as you can see here, the topics that we're going to be learning, and as we've discussed earlier today, you are able to open up the Sales 18 portable file. Okay, so yes. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So first things here is we're going to be tracking our company sales. Pretty straightforward. When we talk about tracking our company sales, right? We talked about the homepage. The homepage is the graphic depiction of how each transaction flows and what happens next. So in this case, we're focusing on the middle section here in our customer center, or this little customer section right here, right? We see here, we're obviously going to start with an estimate, but in this case, you don't always have to have an estimate. All right. Estimations are usually when people call in to get a quote. Your main or go-to place that you would actually start at most often will be your invoices. Okay. Now, of course, I'm going to talk about two different types of receipts that you deal with your customers, right? As you notice here, you have one icon here that talks about your sales receipt, okay? And you have your invoices. The difference between the two, and we're going to take a look at them too as well, is that is going to be when the customer pays us, okay? So when at time of purchase, or at time of sale, excuse me, we have to give our customer a receipt right away. And that's going to be the sales receipt, okay? Where invoices allows us to create an account with our customer, and it allows them to owe us the money and give and have them therefore pay us back later. All right, so that's the difference between the two. Now let's go ahead and move along the graphic depiction. Once you get here, the next thing that you have is you need to receive the payments, and once you receive your payments, it goes straight to the undeposited funds, or in this case, right here it says it's just deposits. Okay, and we'll talk about the difference between undeposited funds and et cetera, et cetera. Where does the money go? And so that is pretty much a graphic depiction. Now, of course, in between these things, you have your statements, right? So sending your customer bills of their activity, okay? And then you have other things such as if you need to tack on any charges, or if for any reason that you need to refund any payments at all, or any sales returns, okay? So again, all this section bottom here, right here, will be taught in chapter 3. But our main focus today is understanding how to enter in either a sales receipt or a invoice, receiving payments, and what we do when we receive the payment. Okay. Okay. So first things first is, of course, just like vendors, right? We have two types of vendors. We have our credit vendors and we have our cash vendors. Same thing here. In QuickBooks, they recognize customers as two different types of customers. Your cash customers and your credit customers, right? Your cash customers are the ones that are going to pay at time of sale. Okay, so that's where our sales receipt's going to come into play. We can receive obviously either cash, check, credit card transaction, or some kind of electronic funds transfer. So that's what we can do as far as understanding at time of purchase, okay, the sales receipt. And then, of course, our credit ones are going to be the ones where we allow our customers to have an account with us and ultimately owe us in the future, okay? But in order to even have a customer, we have to set them up. So from that, I'm going to go ahead and let's get started with the customer center. So just like the vendor center itself, it looks similar and if not identical to the vendor center. Same thing here. We got the left side list is a list of every single customer that you have. And then here it's going to give you the totals that they owe you. So as you can see, we already have a few people that already owe us. Okay. And then, of course, when we click on that person's name, we have their little information right here at the very top. Just gives us a brief description or a brief little, a little piece of information about them, right? Especially their address, their name, and et cetera, et cetera. And of course, down below, again, as we mentioned before, is going to be the transaction that happened between me and this customer. So for example, I clicked on Cruz Maria. She is outstanding, owing us $1,900. Okay, of course, like I said, QuickBooks, what it does is it does pull us in the future. The minute we open QuickBooks, it's saying as of today, so today is the 16th, okay? We're right now in February 16th of 2021, okay? So that's why it says this fiscal year. We need to go ahead and be able to click all to see any, retroactively made transactions in the past, okay? So this is where we're doing retroactively, entering our data in here. So as you can see, here it is. We have all these transactions and the amount that they owe us. Okay, so here's invoice, invoice, and invoice, right? 3 invoices, and it's the total of $1,900. Okay, so that's just a brief overview of the customer center. We've seen this before because it's similar and if not identical to the vendor center. And with that being said, therefore, every single way you get to the customer center is going to be the exact same way as the vendor center. You have it on the home page right here when you click on that tab. You have it on the icon bar under customers, okay? You also have it on the menu bar under customers. It's the first thing that you see here. It's going to be the customer center. So let me go ahead and show you here. Customers, customer center. Okay, so those are the 3 main ways you can get to that center. And just like the vendor center, the customer center is going to be every single transaction you can think of for a customer. Well, typically you can do it in the customer center itself, right? If you click on new transactions, That's the list that you can do. You can either do an estimate, invoice, sales receipt, statements, and you can also receive payments as well, or you can also issue some credit memos. Okay, so or refunds in this case. So just like the vendor center, right? So now because we've done it before with in the vendors, right? We enter in a bill using the vendor center or the homepage. You could do the same exact transaction, but of course with a sales receipt, invoice. So everything is going to start looking familiar, and everything is starting to become uniform, right? So now that we've done it before, you can only imagine everything else is just going to become this familiar. Okay. And that's the idea of QuickBooks. They want to make sure that you understand how to do it one way. And if you can do it one way, you can do it any way using QuickBooks. Okay. So of course, the first thing here that we understand is we need to actually enter in our customer. Again, you can only do that in the customer center. You will not find it on your menu bar. Okay? You will definitely not find it on the menu bar. Okay? It does not exist on your menu bar. Okay? It only can happen in the customer center. So of course, right here, you can either go to the very top and click that new customer /job, and you can create a new customer there. Or the easiest way is when you're in the customer center, you can right click anywhere on the list and you can create a new customer. Okay, new customer. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our new customer since we're already here. Okay, so again, the name up here is very important that you type in however you'd like it. So remember when I was talking about the vendor center, I know this was last week, but remember, if you do not type anything in there and you type everything in the boxes below, QuickBooks will autofill it for you. But notice this, because the person that we're entering in is going to be an actual customer, and we have to fill it in. Now, notice this when I'm going to exit real quick. Notice this. Everybody's name that's listed in here is listed accordingly by last name. You have Cruz Maria. Her last name's Cruz. You have Ron Berry, right? Last name's Berry. Everything is listed according by last name. So that's what you want to, and then because we have it just like this, then you have to make sure that when you do enter in your new customer, you follow the same methodology, okay? But remember when I said if you just fill in here, so let's go ahead and do it. If I were to go ahead and fill in the name, right? From my example in the book, it should say we are entering Miss Dr. I think so. Dr. Tim S. Fang. Okay? Tim. All right. S for, I have no idea what his middle name is, but his last name is going to be Fang, right? Notice this. I filled this piece of information in and it filled it in as Tim Fang. Now, I'm going to go ahead and save this real quick just so then I can show you on the list where it shows up. It's going to show up as Tim S. Fang. And that's not what I want, okay? So a few things that you can do is you can either right click on him and edit his information, or you can come over to the little pencil tool right here, or I can just go ahead and double click on him and it will pop up his information. So you can edit his stuff at any given time, all right? And because the name is not in the correct order, I'm going to go ahead and come over here and I'm going to go ahead and physically type it in that it's actually going to be Fang, comma, Tim. All right. And then when I save it next time, it's actually going to rearrange it. And now Fang is going to be up there. Okay. Okay, so that's one thing I wanted to show you that you need to make sure that you are aware of and make sure that you do this. But QuickBooks does help you fill in stuff for you automatically. Okay. Of course, we don't enter in customer balances. We have to, because QuickBooks will not know what to do with this balance. Okay, it's gonna say, well, Tim S. Fang, he's been owing you money, but every time he makes we receive a payment from him, it doesn't affect anything because there's no QuickBooks doesn't know that that this customer has an outstanding invoice. Okay, so that's why you have to go ahead and enter in all those invoices manually, retroactively. Okay, so you have to go put everything that he owes you in the past, and then your balance for Mr. Tim Fang will be reflecting. Okay. As far as company, I don't believe he has a company. Job title. This is really weird because he's a customer. You know, what kind of job title would a customer have?
Is a doctor?
I mean, yes, but I mean,
Anesthesiologist? I don't know.
Exactly. So he's a customer. What is that? What kind of information does that? How does that pertain us? Okay. Now this is only there because you can have a vendor also be a customer. Okay, so because it's set this way, you're not obligated to fill it in. It's just set that way in case a vendor is a customer as well. So they just leave that little space for you. But again, it doesn't make sense. What kind of job title would make it why would that be useful to you if they're a customer? You know, you know, you know. Yes. Anyways, so again, there's no job title when it comes to a customer, most likely. Okay. What about the main phone number? What's the main phone number for Mr. Tim Fang?
408 555 8298.
Okay, perfect. Does he have a work phone, mobile phone, or fax number? I don't think so. Usually they don't have that kind of thing. Sometimes your customer may possibly give you a work phone number for some reason if you need to contact them for any reason. But most cases they're not going to contact you at your work. Okay. Here, main email. He is Dr. F at
df.biz.
Okay. Dr. F at df.biz. Okay. Of course, so assuming that's his email. He might have a legitimate website. I don't know, but this looks like he's supposed to own his own company. But that's cool. We don't need to have that. Okay, so now the next thing is we're going to be entering his address in here. So again, as you can see, it's starting to fill out our information. So Mr. Tim S. Fang, he lives on 300 North 1st Street. All right. What's his city?
San Jose, California.
San Jose, California, 945 Okay. So here we have a little different little tab right here. Of course, with customers, right, they can also make purchases of gifts, right? They can send it to anybody. So this is where the shipping to can be the longest list, because again, maybe Mr. Tim S. Fang, he doesn't want to buy a gift for himself, or he doesn't want to buy the services for himself. He wants to make a payment for someone else. Then yes, he can you may have multiple shipping addresses, okay? But in this case, he's going to have it for himself. So we're going to click that little copy tool, and we're going to verify that all of this is correct. And then once we say that, we're going to click OK. And then here is this one. Now, here, what do you want to call this shipping address? Again, so if they do have multiple addresses for any reason, because they're either making purchases for someone else or they're buying gifts for someone else, right? So with this kind of thing in mind, customers can have as many. I think for QuickBooks they have up to they're supposed to only have up to 5, but of course, because you have a drop down list, they can send gifts to anybody. Okay. So with that being said, we added this. You can always add another address at any given time. You can also delete addresses. Let's say they don't need that address anymore. Okay. And of course, we're assuming that by default, his shipping address should be this first address right here. Okay. So now that we completed that section right there, we can go ahead and move on to payment options or payment settings. So here now, this is going to be Tim Fang's information, his account information that he has with us. So in this case, the account number is referring to the account number that we gave him. All right. So what is this account number?
3546.
Okay. And does he have a credit limit?
$8,000.
$8,000. Okay. Okay. So next one is going to be payment terms. So payment terms, we talked about terms, right? It's an incentive that we or the vendor can give us to take advantage, to give a discount if you pay within a certain amount of time. So in this case, do we have terms for Mr. Tim Fang?
Net 30.
So we said no. Oh, wrong one. Net 30. We said no, Mr. Tim. You are not getting any discount from us. Okay. And then the next one here is going to be price level. So remember, we talked briefly about this, right? Here it says that we have only one option, which is commercial. Okay. So price level, right? It just places your customers in specific levels of certain things. So for Mr. Tim S. Fang, right? We're assuming that he's just a regular customer, right? And again, we talked about what a price level is. It kind of determines, well, if they're a corporation, most likely they're going to be able to pay the services. Whereas if you're working with a nonprofit organization, you might have to tweak your prices just a bit because, you know, they can afford it, but it depends on what profit organization that you're working with. So that's why we have price levels. Okay. Other than that, we have also, what is the method or preferred method of sending invoices or receipts?
Email.
And email is going to be, it's already selected, right? You can either mail them or you can email them, okay?
They have none.
It's just, honestly, I have no idea.
Okay, thought I would ask.
Paperless statements, right? Where would they send it to? You got either or, right?
Right.
But yes, I don't know why they have none, but yes. All right. But email is going to be an option, okay? So now the next one is going to be preferred payment method. So, as we all know, okay, QuickBooks allows it to make it that much more easier for your customers to go ahead and make payments. All right? Because the assumption here is that, as you collect more and more information, if you hold on to a customer's information, then the next time you process their sales receipt or their invoice, right? You already have the information. You don't need to ask for them another time. Now, that's also going to be the option that you can choose to do. Now, for most safety reasons, right? If you do plan on collecting this piece of information, it's going to be a huge liability if your books get released out to the public or someone hacks your QuickBooks account, because you have however many customers that you have, right? You have all this sensitive information, and people can steal their identity, and they can go ahead and fraud every single one. So that's also going to be a huge lawsuit to you, because your customers can go ahead and file a lawsuit against you for because of those potential fraud, meaning they may sue you for not having a secure enough platform to protect their information. So with that being said, oftentimes a lot of websites or anything like that, you have the option to either save your credit card information or you don't. Okay, especially with if you're paying online, right? If you use a website, you have that little check mark where you can save the credit card information or not. So therefore, if you do choose to do that, then then your information is not on the website at all. But then again, it's secured by your username and password. All right. But with this kind of concept, yeah, we need to understand that for the use of QuickBooks, it's actually much more quicker to just be able to have the same customer be like, okay, well, go ahead and just place it on my account, or go ahead and pay with my credit card. Okay. So here, that's where it's going to ask you, what's your payment option? And in this case, I believe we do have a credit card, and they're going to ask you, well, what kind of credit card? I believe it's a Visa. Okay. And they're going to say, well, what's your credit card number? Okay. So in this case, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. What is the expiration date on this?
It says 01 of 2020.
01 2020. That's okay. Our transactions are going to be retroactive. So, so it's okay here. But of course, we can't tell them that their card expired. We can only tell them that their card has been denied. Okay. All right. And of course, with that being said, you also need to have the name on the actual card itself. So here it tells us that, okay, well, this person, the expiration date is going to be, et cetera, et cetera. You cannot do that, okay? Okay. So in this case, I guess 2021 is fine. Actually, that already expired too. Let's just do 2022. Okay. So here it should say Tim S. Fang or Tim Fang, whatever it is, right? He's going to have to tell you the exact name. And if he has another name, like maybe it's Timothy Fang, then you make sure that you get the exact card holder's actual full name on the card. Okay. And of course, you also need their billing address on here as well. Is it the same one, the 300 North?
Yes. 300 North 1st Street.
North 1st Street. Okay.
I'm surprised it doesn't autofill that, since we're already working on this customer.
Yes, but it's also because the assumption here is, because when we filled out in the first one, right, you filled out in the billing address. But in this case, sometimes your billing address, like for your billing address, like your at, I don't know how to say it, but you know how
Yeah,
your
it
shipping
might be at his
address.
house instead of, this might be his business instead of at his house.
Exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
I got you.
Yes. Okay. So zip code. What does that say? Just zip postal code. So 95461. You said
95136.
95136. Okay. And of course, one thing that you also need to know is that it is illegal to be able to save the security code number on the back of your credit card. That is to actually verify that you are verifying the transaction. So that it is illegal to actually save those 3-digit numbers in the back of the card. You can only save the 16 digits.
Okay.
Okay. So just a little fun fact there. Okay. And of course, here is for in case you do have a website or online payment, it gives you the option here. In this case, we do have a website, but you can't order online. Okay. So now that my payment options are done here, we're going to go ahead and go through the sales tax settings. So of course, because Mr. Tim S. Fang is a regular customer, we're going to assume that if he is doing business with us, we have to also select what kind of county he belongs into so we can make sure that we properly tax him. So I believe he's not an out-of-state person. I believe he's Contra Costa.
Santa Clara.
Oh, I guess he's Santa Clara. Oh, that's right, because he's San Jose. Okay, so there you go. Santa Clara. And then right underneath says the resale number. This one you don't really need to know. Enter anything in here. Because this is in case he is a wholesaler and you're trying to sell them to it. That's the resale number. Okay. So that's okay. So the next one is going to be additional information. Additional information, which we talked about, right? It's anything that's not pertaining the individual, like the basic information, right? It's any other additional information that we can gather upon our customer. So here we have the first one. It says customer type. All right. So we talked about this. What does he belong to? He belongs to retail. Okay. Or is he business or retail? I think he is.
They have business in here.
Okay, so he's business. All right, then. Mr. Tim S. Fang is business. All right, sales representative. So, again, in case you do have, or you do set out commissions, you can actually tag who's responsible for bringing these people in. So, I believe this is a Mike Mazowski. Okay. And then, of course, right here, what county does he belong to?
Santa Clara.
Santa Clara. All right. And of course, I'm going to throw in just some fun facts in here. So, again, here we have spouse's name, department title, and review date. So none of these actually apply. Maybe spouses does because, that's always a conversational starter. And then maybe you could do pet name. Not what you give him, but, if he has a pet, what's their pet's name? And then we could throw in hobbies. Okay? Or let's do hobbies since I don't want to do plural. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And then you get this message. Go ahead and click OK. So his spouse's name. Let's say Mary. Tim and Mary.
Show anything on here if they want, so.
No. This is for fun. So Mary Fang is his wife. Okay. Hobby. Oh no, I didn't select pet name. Pet name. or I should put pet's name so it's a little more clear. Oh, right here, up here. Okay, so pet's name. His pet's name is probably I'm gonna say it's Larry. All right. And then his hobby. He likes.
I guess you always just want to put sports or whatever.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Sports. He likes sports. Let's make it generic. Okay. So there you
Not very
go.
creative.
Not very creative, but generic. Yeah, that's
Well, I could
fine.
have said taekwondo, or I could have said something like that, but that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Whatever piece of information you can gather with your customer. Because again, this right here is very important information because it allows you to strengthen your relationship with your customer. Your customer will love if you actually know something about them. Okay. And it allows you to be more, personable with them, by talking, hey, how's your dog Larry? How's your wife Mary? Did you watch the Lakers game? Cool, something like that, right? It always sparks a conversation with your customers, and it allows them to feel that you actually care for them. Okay, so little tactic there. But yes, it's always good when you get personal with your customers because then it makes them more willing to want to support you. All right. And then here we have jobs information. So this section here, okay, I'm going to talk very, very briefly about it, okay? Reason being is because this is more prevalent in chapter 9 when we actually get to see what what job costing means. So this right here is just in case when you need to fill in information in regards to someone that you are tacking on, whether it's an income or an expense, right? We talked about this kind of, right? But in this case, it's personalizing to a particular customer. So this is going to be when we do jobs for specific people, right? What you're actually doing is you're buying, or in this case, right, you're completing a job or a task for a particular person. All right, meaning, for example, like I bought and we'll take a look at this too. The last time we did this, right, we bought a custom frame or custom framing materials for Mr. Bob Mason, right? So that's going to be considered a job costing because not only are we making purchases for him, we're also going to push the bill and send it to his way. So then that expense to us isn't our expense that we have to pay for. It's going to be Bob Mason's responsible to pay for that job. Okay, so that's what this particular part is about. And again, it's more prevalent or in chapter 9. It makes a lot more sense how we use the job costing part in chapter 9. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and say we're done, and we're going to go ahead and click OK.
Can I ask you a question on that real quick?
Yes, go for it.
Page. I noticed down at the bottom it said that the customer is inactive.
Yes. So I don't mention.
Change.
Okay. So just like when we activate our accounts, right, or inactivate our accounts, when you have a customer that's no longer a customer, okay, but however, when you keep track of your books, what happens is that every time you keep adding more and more and more customers to your clientele list, you're going to notice that some of your customers are going to fall off the list, or they only needed you for a one-time project. Okay, so that's what this button is there for, right? But just exactly how we talked about, in what is it? When we talked about in chapter 12, right? When we created our accounts, you can inactivate them or activate them, right? It's the same thing here, right? See that little dot right there? Okay, that allows us to move them across the board, but it also, if you say this person is no longer active, right? Let's say Tim Fang, he's been with me for so long, yet he's he doesn't, we don't need to contact him anymore because it's been over 3 years and he hasn't even reached out to us. He doesn't need to be in our books anymore. You can choose this, right? Once you click that and you click OK, now look, Mr. Tim Fang doesn't exist in my list anymore.
See, I wasn't sure whether that was making a statement or if you want to inactivate them. That's what I was.
Okay,
That's
no, no.
confusing me up bottom there.
Okay, so no. It's just in case, like you have your list of clientele list is just too long, and you're seeing people that that don't actually need to be there anymore. You can go ahead and inactivate them. Okay, so now that I inactivated Mr. Tim S. Fang, I'm gonna have to go ahead and locate him somewhere else. Okay. Usually with that, once he's hidden and stuff, you're just gonna have to locate him either by looking him up, or you can let me go ahead and type in Mr. Tim Fang real quick. Oh. Okay, so he's not showing up there. Okay, Fang. Okay, he's not showing up there. Okay, so other things that you're gonna have to do, you're gonna have to be able to find that list of inactive individuals, and you're gonna have to try to activate him from there. So let me see, go to
That's your training for me today.
no, it's okay, because you should be able to locate him. It's not at the very bottom. How do I find my list of inactive people? Okay, let's see. List of inactive customers, where are you? Okay. Enter time, enter list. Let me go ahead and go to my report section and be able to look it up that way. So under customers or list. Okay, and let's see. Customer contact list. Okay, customer contact list. And let's see, is Mr. Tim Fang on here? No, he's not. Okay. I haven't done this part in a long time, so I don't remember how to find my list of inactive people that are on my customer list so I can activate them again. Oh, right here, active customers. Okay, so if you click here, you can go ahead and be able to look at your list. Oh, where did it go? Right here. You could change this and look up your list of inactive customers as well. So if I go click all customers, there, Mr. Tim S. Fang, just like how you do it on the accounts, he has a big X on his name. So what you can do is you can either to re-inactivate him, you could double click on his profile and be able to click this little button here to reactivate him. Okay, and then there you go. So yeah, you just have to go up here to the very top of the list, and you can choose what you have. So now I'm at all customers. I can just go straight to just only active. So there is Mr. Tim S. Fang. So there he is. Okay. So yes, so you can choose. You can have a list of all your customers, and if at some given point in time they end up, they end up just falling off the grid or whatever it is, and they don't, and you no longer have they're no longer active, you can inactivate them. And if they ever become active again, then you can just go to that list and reactivate it from there. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Whew, that was a doozy. So now that we got to take a look at that, so we added our customer. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. It's identical to entering in a vendor. Okay. Here's also a little quick note here too. If you do have a vendor who is also a customer and they're the same exact person, because QuickBooks is very mono. What do you call it? They can't tell the difference when you say, oh, this section's for the vendors and this section's for the customers. So you're gonna have to make some slight difference to their names in order for QuickBooks to associate the difference between this person as being a vendor and this person being as a customer. All right. And on top of that, because it's also enlisting different transactions, it will not recognize, or it will not be able to save a profile if it has the same exact identical name. All right. And that also applies to your employees, because yes, you can potentially have an employee with the same exact name. You just gonna have to make some kind of differentiation, whether it's their middle name. If a middle initial is not enough, you may have to do the full middle name. If not, then you're gonna have to make some kind of slight difference to one of those names. Like you're gonna have to say Tim S. Fang, right? And you have another Tim S. Fang. You're gonna have to make them one or two. Okay. So that is it. That is how you enter in a customer. All right, we talked about job costing very, very briefly. And on top of that, here, it's very short as well. It only gives you a very brief discussion about it. So that's why I said I want to save that for chapter 9, where we actually see job costing more prevalent in chapter 9. Okay? All right, any questions?
I think I'm good so far.
All right, good. So the next thing that we have here is going to be how to record a sale. Okay, so I briefly went over this very, very short, right? There are two types of ways that we can enter in a sales, right? If a customer decides to pay us at time of purchase, right? Let's say someone decided to come into our store, and because, when they come into our store, and they want to pay up front right then and there, we must give them a sales receipt. Okay? But let's say they do come to our store and they decide that they want to put it on an account. Okay. Then if they're potentially going to pay us later, then we have to create and send them an invoice. So with that being said, that's just the real difference between them. Is one of them is you create the form based on whether the person pays in cash or at time of sale. Okay, so let's go ahead and take our first example here that we're going to go ahead and enter in a sales receipt. Okay, for this particular person. So let's go ahead and see. I believe we are making I think it's for Mr. Quick ad for Mr. Jerry Perez. We are going to enter in Jerry Perez. Okay, I don't even know where I'm at right now. I think we are entering.
We're right there.
Yes, Jerry Perez. Okay. So, all right. Let's explore how many ways we can enter in a sales receipt. All right. There are a total of 6 ways you can enter in a sales receipt. Okay. So the first one is pretty straightforward. It's on the home page. It's right there that says create sales receipt. All right. Second way you can do it is going to be at the very top of the menu bar. We go down to customers and we can go ahead and create a sales receipt. Okay? And of course, any way that you get into the customer center, so whether it's the homepage icon bar or the menu bar, you can either click on the new transaction and create your sales receipt there. You can go ahead and click on your customer itself and it creates a sales receipt right there. Okay, in this case it says enter sales receipt. I need to shrink my, there you go. If I were to click on that, I can, if I have to click on the customer first. I can go to down here to manage transactions, and I'll be able to enter in a sales receipt this way. Okay. And of course, last but not least, which I failed to mention as well, because oftentimes, because this is also again introduced at the very end of this chapter, is your income tracker. Okay. Your income tracker, as you can see, is pretty much going to be geared primarily towards your invoices. But that doesn't mean you can't, that doesn't mean you can't enter in a sales receipt, all right? Because your income tracker isn't based on your sales receipt, it's based on your invoices. It's your open invoices. But that doesn't mean you cannot enter in a sales receipt based off of that. Okay? So I can create my sales receipt through the income tracker. But let's go ahead and take 2 seconds to go ahead and take a look at the income tracker. It functions just exactly identical to the bill tracker, right? The bill tracker is, manages all your bills that you've, entered in. And it keeps track of whether you made payments to them, whether they're overdue payments, or et cetera, et cetera. Same thing here, except we're looking at invoices. We're looking at which invoices are past due, and which invoices did we receive payments this month or this accounting period. Okay, so same thing here, and then of course you can also receive your payments through this way as well. Okay. But this is your income tracker. This one keeps track of your customers and who owes you in a quick snapshot. All right. Instead of having to look at your customer center and having to dig through each invoice, right here gives you the exact invoice, the exact person, and it gives you the exact amount that they owe you. Okay. So that's what's cool about the income tracker. All right, so there you go. That was 6 different ways that you can enter in a sales receipt. So, of course, I'm going to go to my home page just because I'm here now. And I'm going to go ahead and enter in my sales receipt. Okay? Come on. Enter in my sales receipt. There you go. So, just like a sales receipt, pretty straightforward. It looks just like this. Okay, it's going to give you a list of every item that you can purchase with the quantity, what the item is, etc., etc., etc. And it also gives you one slight difference here. It gives you options on how this customer paid. So again, I'm going to go ahead and type in Mr. Jerry Perez. And notice this, he doesn't exist in my books. So because he doesn't exist in my books, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick add. Or in this case, I actually clicked, let me cancel all that. Let me do how the book says. Jerry Perez. And if I go ahead and click my tab button, it's going to say, hey, we don't recognize Mr. Jerry Perez in your books at all. Would you like to quick add them? And that's where you're going to say quick add. Okay? Because in this case, we already know he's a customer, so it automatically associated him as a customer because that's what a sales receipt does. It does a customer. But when we did for the other one, when we did a check or something like that, we quick added them, and they didn't know whether are you writing a check to a customer or you're writing a check to a vendor or you're writing to an employee. That's where it's going to ask you that question: who is this person? But in case they know automatically because this is a sales receipt, it has to be a customer. Okay? Class here is going to be, I think he belongs to San Jose.
Yes.
San Jose, so boom. Now notice this here. Template is here. And it has custom sales receipt. That is fine because we don't have we don't have the Academy Photography, right? Every chapter builds upon each other. So in this case, we don't have the Intuit one. So we're going to leave it at custom sales receipt. Okay? And then we're going to be recognizing a few things. So the first thing is, when did this sales receipt happen? Or when did you conduct the sale? I believe it's January
27th.
January 27th. Okay, there you go. Okay, so this is where it's important that you do keep track of this. Your sales receipt number is very important because ultimately this is what's going to be, keeping track of every single transaction that happens. So oftentimes what you're going to notice is that this receipt is going to be usually at the top of your receipt, and it validates that a transaction has happened. It also is a good accounting method for you to keep track of every single receipt because once you associate a number here, right? In this case, it's going to be 2020. Oh no, 2020. Let's.
Sorry, it
Yeah,
had
no,
2019-1, so
20.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't. In this case, because it's in the past. I'll go ahead and do what the book says. So 2019-1, meaning this is my first sales receipt that I have as of 2019, number 1. Okay, and as we go through the sales receipt, it's going to populate the next number. Okay, so that means the next time I do a sales receipt, it's going to be number 2019 1 or 2019 number 2. So
So once you do that, if you're the one that happens to have to set up that on the sales receipt for the first time, you don't have to worry about a number anymore because if he comes back in, even if it's a year and a half later, it's going to say number 2.
absolutely, that's correct.
Okay.
Yep. So that's the smart thing that QuickBooks can do is that it recognizes that you're trying to create a sequence. So once you establish what the sequence number is, then the next time you enter in a sales receipt, whether it's, like you said, whether it's 6 months later, it's going to associate 2019 to. Okay? So again, it's going to do that. All right? So in this case, I believe Mr. Jerry Perez, how did he pay us?
A check.
He paid us by a check. So notice when we highlight check, another thing that we got to fill in is what the check number is. Okay? And of course, we don't have the amount just yet. That's the amount. We're going to establish that right now. So first thing is, what did he buy from us?
Looks like outdoor photo sessions.
He bought outdoor photo sessions from us. Yeah, okay. Let me find the screen. Here you go. He bought outdoor photo sessions from us. What else did he buy?
Premium package of photography session.
Perfect. Okay. So again, these are the items, if you remember from chapter 7, these are the items that we can go ahead and say that he can purchase from us, right? So as you can see, it says item at the top. So these are things that we've these ones are already preset already. So outdoor photo session. The minute I go ahead and click this here, it automatically fills in all the information into my invoice. So here I have the item, I have the description, I have it says right here what kind of tax it is. It's a service, right? Now, and then, of course, we don't have quantity yet because I'll talk about that in a second. And it says that it is going to be $95 per session. So how many sessions did he buy? I think he bought 3.
Yeah, his quantity was 3.
So notice this. When I type in my quantity, it's going to automatically calculate my total right here.
Okay.
I don't have to do anything. I don't have to times, multiply anything, do a quick add or quick math or anything. It's going to automatically do it for me. Okay. So the next one you said was also a premium photo package. Okay. So once I've done that, as you can see, it filled in the information for me. It is going to be taxable because there's a product involved, right? And I believe he bought 2 of them.
Yes.
Where did my 2 go? No. Let's see what it says because I don't know where my 2 is. Okay, QuickBooks did not find 2 in your list of. Oh, okay. Okay, no. Okay, so there's my 2. All right, so let's go to that again. Premium photo package. There. So here now, let me make sure I double click that. There you go. And he ordered 2 at $85 a piece. So therefore, it's going to tally up as a total of that much. So that means he owes me in total with the tax, okay? So we have to also come back down here because the tax is out of state. We need to change that to
Santa Clara.
Santa Clara, okay? Which it says here it's 8.25%. Okay? Now, the next thing that we're going to take a look at is now that we got to verify. You don't need to do the calculations because it breaks it down for you automatically right here. It tells you that the total tax that you're going to be looking at is $14. Plus the total right here, it gives you $469.03. Okay? Now, of course, it might look different in your book because of the whole taxes, but that's okay. All right? Now, next thing is that because he wrote a check to us, right? We also have to remember, what was the check number that he wrote to us?
3459.
Perfect. 3459. Okay? And of course, here at the bottom of your little customer message, you can personally write a message to your customers. Oftentimes, it's always thank you for your business. Okay? So yes, you can have preset messages that you can have on here. You could say, something catchy that's like a tagline for your business, right? Academy Photography, always keep smiling, something fun for your customers to, think about every time when you're thanking them, right? That's the number one thing that you should always write on your customer, on their invoice or sales receipt, okay? And a memo. This memo is very important because this is when you type in this memo, it's going to appear on your customer statement. So this is very important that you know this because if you leave this blank and you start doing your customer statements, which we'll talk about tomorrow, you're going to find that if you did not fill this in, then, it's going to just show up as invoice number 219-1. Now, of course, when we talk about the statements, you can also put full details of what each invoice is. So it's going to be kind of redundant. But this memo is also for you as well to keep as a track record to make sure that you understand the sales receipt for 2019-1 was in fact that it was a purchase of 3-hour outdoor photo sessions and 2 photo packages. Okay, you can put as much detail as you'd like in there. Okay, it's optional for you. You don't have to abbreviate unless you want to. And again, And again, it says taxable, so we know it is. Okay, that means it's going to associate the tax that is with this one. And we're going to go ahead and click that save and close. Once we verify everything is there, save and close. Okay, so we have a little thing here that says you changed Jerry Perez's class and tax information. And we're going to say yes, because Jerry Perez is something that we haven't even encountered before. He has no information that we saved for him, okay? So if I wanted to, I can always go to the customer center and go ahead and locate Mr. Jerry Perez. But because I typed it in as like Jerry Perez, as you see right here, I would have to make modifications because it's not, I can fill in the information right here. I can say this is, I want it to reflect as Perez, Jerry. Right? And I can even say this is a Mr. And it's Mr. Jerry. Okay? And we know he is Perez. Okay. If you gather information such as his address and whatnot, you can go ahead and add that in there. I'm going to click OK. And there he is now. He's all the way at the bottom, Perez Jerry. And if I were to, and since his name's already highlighted, of course this information I didn't place in there, but the one transaction we have here is the invoice is right here for 2019-1. And of course, because like I said, you can actually double click on the transaction and his sales receipt would pop up. Okay, so now that we did that, now the question is, where did the money go? Same thing here. If we said, because this was a sales receipt, right? We instantly got a check, so we know that it's going to be in the undeposited funds. Notice this, you have a little notification that you have one deposit waiting for you. Okay, so same concept and idea here is if you receive a check in the mail, or in this case, this was an in-store purchase. Let's say, where do you think the check is going to be?
It's in undeposited funds, isn't that right?
Yes, but I'm saying in real life. In real life, where's this money?
Oh, it's sitting in the bank account.
Is it?
Well, he's already paid. Well, no, because it hasn't actually changed hands yet.
Exactly. It's probably somewhere underneath the cash register drawer, right? Because that's usually what happens.
It's not going right at that exact moment. It's being uploaded later.
Exactly. Someone has to physically go to the bank and deposit the money, and then you have to come back here to actually update the information as well. Okay, so that's the main concept here. It's pretty straightforward. Pretty, what do you do when you receive receive a payment? You got to go to the bank, right, to deposit it. It doesn't magically appear in your account. Same thing here for QuickBooks. Same thing here. It doesn't magically appear in your account. You need to make a deposit in your bank for it to actually clear. All right. So let's hold that mindset real quick, because even though it does give you a brief little breakdown on what these undeposited funds do, so that's exactly why I'm explaining it right now, is that because you received the payment, that doesn't mean it's in your bank account right now. You have to physically make a trip to the bank in order for that check to actually clear. And we'll talk about that when we finish at the end of the chapter, when we actually take a look at what to do when we deposit all our money. Okay, so again, because we have that the idea of this is going to be always going to be created for you no matter what. Because the idea is, if you are allowing, payments received, either check, cash, or whatever, it's going to automatically be created for you. But in case you don't have it and you need to set it up, you're gonna have to go ahead and just keep reading the book, and it will explain to you how to be able to upload all that information, okay, or to create the account for the undeposited funds, okay. And essentially, and we'll talk about this too, when we actually deposit the money into our bank, we're also going to record it in QuickBooks, so that money reflects in our bank account. Okay.
Okay.
So now that section is all done and all ready, now we're going to be talking about creating invoices. Okay. So we got to take a look at one of our first things that we have is what happens when we have an in-store sale or people pay at time of purchase or pay time of sale. Okay. So now we're going to take a look at our little friend over here, invoice. Okay. So the same exact 6 ways you can enter in a sales receipt, you can enter in a invoice. So here we have it here on our homepage. Here we'll have it on our menu bar under the customers, customers, create invoice, okay? And if you are in the customer center, okay, same thing here. You have, go to new transactions, you got invoices here. You can right click on a customer and be able to create the invoice, all right? Or you can also manage transactions and create your invoice this way. And of course, the last way you can do it is going through your income tracker and going down to the bottom of your income tracker, okay? Manage transactions, and you can enter an invoice, right? Since I'm already here on my last one, I'm going to go ahead and enter in my invoice. So notice this kind of trend. If you could do one transaction, you're going to be able to do the other transaction the same exact way. All right. So of course I have this little window here because it's telling me that there's something new about this invoice, and I'm going to go ahead and there you go. Okay, so here we're creating an invoice because our customer has an account with us, and he is going to decide to pay us after the either the photo session has been completed or etc. etc. So in this case, I am creating an invoice for Mr. Is it Bob Mason? Is he my next one?
Bob Mason. It's got it as Mason
Miss.
Bob,
Yep.
in case we need it that way.
Honestly, you can type either or. You could type in Mason, right? Or MA and find his name. You can even type Bob and his name will pop up. Okay? It doesn't matter as long as there's some formulation, because the thing about QuickBooks is it's going to look up every single person that's your customer, and it's going to find it whether it's the last name that you typed in or it's the first name that you typed in. As long as you can find it and it will find it person for you, you click on it, and of course all the information is going to fill in for you. if they can't find it, right? Whether you typed in, Mason or Bob, and you can't find that person, then that's where you can safely add that person in there. Just like what we did for Jerry Perez, right? We typed in Jerry, we typed in Perez, nothing. So we're going to have to quick add him. All right, but in this case, Mr. Bob Mason, he's a familiar person of this, he's a customer that's been going for many years, and he is a returning customer. So we do a lot of business with Mr. Bob Mason, okay? And he too is from San Jose. All right. Oh, yep, San Jose. Same thing. We have the Intuit invoice, right? We don't have the Academy. Oh, actually, no, we do have Academy Photography service invoice. Okay. So you have a service invoice and you have a regular invoice. In this case, I'm going to do a regular invoice because I believe he makes purchases other than services. Okay. So once I have this information, right, we're going to verify that that he made the purchase on this date. And notice this, because we've already had pre-existing invoices, right? If you remember from our income tracker, this is invoice number 106. Okay, so that means I'm gonna pull up my income tracker real quick, just so then you can kind of take a look at the invoices. Okay, so income tracker. Where are you, income tracker? There you are. Okay, got it. Notice this. We got invoice 2019 right here, 5. We got 4. We got 103. We got 102 and 101. So every time you're creating a new invoice, it's going to take this same sequence number and it's going to apply it, and it's going to create the one that's going to follow right after it. So there you go. It automatically associated it, and now it's going to be invoice 2019 106. Okay? Now notice this too, that it also filled in information such as terms, right? 2% 10 net 30. It also gives us the discount period, of course. And now it is also asking us for a PO number. Okay? If again if Bob Mason did an estimate, that's where your purchase order number would fall under. Okay? You'll have that number. But if it's a random one, or he just decided to just order it right out of the blue, then you don't need it. The PO number is not required. Okay?
Okay.
So let's go ahead and take a look at what he purchased from us. Oh, shoot. Okay, so Mr. Bob Mason, let's see what he purchased from us. Indoor photo session, and he also purchased a standard photo package, 1 each. Okay. Okay, good. That's what I thought. The date is the next day, so let's go ahead and change that since it's the next day. So the item that he purchased from us was it indoor or outdoor?
Indoor photo session.
Indoor. So here's indoor photo session. Boom. All right. And he also bought a standard photo package. Okay. And this one looks a little different because it's just it's just moved a little different. Okay, so here we have the description. Then here is the hours. So in this case, mine's updated a little bit. You guys have quantity on yours. So if you want to go ahead and place 1 and 1 in each. So in this case, I have 1 hour here for $95, and I have 1 standard photo package, right, for that. Now notice this. Because I associated Mr. Bob Mason, right, I've associated that he's a San Jose class. It automatically linked my income to his class. Okay?
Okay.
So there you go. We got one for 95 and one for 85. Okay, so mine says hour on mine because I have the, right now, I think I have my standard Intuit, I'm sorry, the Academy Photography personalized invoice. So that's why it looks a little different. Okay. Same thing here. We're looking at thank you for your business. Okay. And I'm also going to enter in here that we got 1 hour, a 1 hour indoor photo session and 1 standard package. Yeah. Okay. So now that that's there, again, it is also going to be taxed at because of this standard package that we have here. Okay. And he's going to be taxed at Santa Clara. Okay. 8.25%. So therefore, his bill is going to come out to be $154.54. And I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Close. Once I get that beep of approval, notice this. If I go to Bob Mason and I look at all his transactions, here we populate the brand new invoice that we just popped in here, 2019-106. Okay. Now, for any reason you need to modify your invoice, do it now. Okay. Okay, in case you typed in, or maybe he ordered something new, or maybe he added on something new, and we'll talk about this tomorrow as well. If you're going to modify or fix an invoice, or let's say the customer decided to tack on an extra payment or an extra hour for any reason, you can come back here and you can add it in here at any given time. So the rule of thumb here is if you haven't sent out the first invoice yet, you can modify it. But let's say you already sent out an invoice. What's going to happen is you're going to create another invoice or modify the invoice and send him a new one. Okay? And we'll talk about that tomorrow. So there you go. That's how you enter in either a sales receipt or an invoice. Okay? Any questions? Okay, pretty straightforward, right? We've done an example, so it's pretty straightforward entering in the next example, okay? So here it says adding calculating items to an invoice. So, like I've mentioned before, if you need to tack on or anything for any reason that you need to add something in here, we are going to have to modify it here. Okay, but in this case, for this example here, when we're adding certain things, right, we're going to be looking at how to do quick math in QuickBooks. Okay, or in this case, applying a discount item. Okay, so I'm sorry, quick math is going to happen at the end. Okay, where this one is, we're going to be actually using a discount line item. All right, so in this example here, we're going to create another invoice, and we're going to create it for Sarah Wilson and Michael person, right? So that's going to be actually under Anderson Wedding. Okay, if you notice in our little section here, you can find it right here. It's under Anderson Wedding, and here it is: Wilson, Sarah, and no, wrong one. There you go, and Michael. Okay, and I'm going to right click them, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new invoice. Okay, so Of course, because because I've clicked on that person's name, right? It's gonna highlight it here in my customer right here, so I don't have to type it in. It automatically pulled the information right here.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. So what class do they belong to? I think this is
San Jose.
Okay, there you go, San Jose. Okay. Date should be the same. Invoice number 107.
Right.
Okay, and now let's go ahead and take a look at this. So, what items did they purchase from me?
It's like a camera SR32.
Good, camera SR32. So, camera SR32, boom, and they purchased 3 of them. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I don't know why it says 3 hours, but let me change this to the standard Intuit one. It says Academy. It should be Academy, but I don't know why it has that. So notice that when I click that, the Academy, this one, now it changes to the style that I wanted to show me, right? I actually have
Right,
quantity. Okay, so this is the one that's actually reflecting your book. So yeah, depending on what format that you have for your template, it's going to change how it looks. So in this case, I switched my my template, and now it's reflecting how I want it to reflect. So good. So here I have the SR cameras. I have 3 of them, and now it's showing me that it's going to be a total of $696 each. So giving me a grand total of $2,087, right? I believe they also bought lenses.
Yes.
Okay, here, right, lens, and I believe they bought only 1.
Yes. One.
Okay, so there you go. There's my grand total here. Now this is where we can go ahead and use what's called the discount item. So if you remember from chapter 7, that's one of the items that you can create to make it a lot more easier to calculate your total, your discounts. So instead of having to do your quick math right here, saying, okay, I'm going to apply a discount item here, and it's going to be for whatever amount. No, since we've already created it already, right? If I just type in DISC, right here, I have my 10% discount item already created. All right. And if I were to go ahead and click that, notice this and tell me what you see wrong here. Okay. It's a 10% discount. And look, I took my 10% discount, and it's showing me that my discount is for $32 even.
Oh, because it just did the line above it and not the entire amount.
Exactly. All right. So you notice that. And that is actually one of the things that you need to know about discounts. Now, every time you use the discount item, it's always going to discount the line above it. Okay? So this is when you have specific sales, right? For example, right, you have you're a clothing store, right? This section is only 40% off. The clearance section is 70% off. That is where it comes into play. And then even on your receipt, right? It's itemized exactly. Each item is going to be having a separate line item for the discount. That's exactly the same concept that's applied here. However, if you want to apply the discount on the total amount, we also have what's called a subtotal line item. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this item real quick right now. Okay, so there, now it's completely gone, right? If I were to go ahead and do a subtotal item, okay, right? Once I do that and I go ahead and click my tab real quick, okay, notice this. It's tallying up my total amount that I have for my entire invoice. Okay, and it's in gray. It's very light gray. It says that my total here is $2,412. Now, because if I apply my discount now, it's going to take the line above it, right? So there you go. Now it's taking the proper proper discount off of the entire thing. Now, okay, you can do that, or you can do what I've said earlier, I mentioned earlier. You can do each line item for every item, right? You can say 10% off this, 10% off that. Yes, because that's what happens in real life. Your actual sales receipt, or your receipt's going to reflect that every item is going to be itemized with every single discount. So even if it's the same exact number, it's going to show up instead of doing a total and then doing your discount. But once you've done that, though, this is a quicker way to go ahead if you are trying to save some paper or save some space. Then you can go ahead and use the subtotal item, and you can go ahead and discount the subtotal. Okay, so now that I have here and I validate that this is true, right? They're getting a $241 discount. That means at the end of the day, they're going to owe me the $2,350 because they get taxed, at 8% for 179. Okay. So same thing here. Thank you for your business. And memo here is 3 cameras and 1 lens. Okay, 1 lens. All right, now we can go ahead and save and close. So from this one, we just identify that this is another bill, and this is actually utilizing the subtotal item and the discount item. Okay, and then it says right here okay, and we're gonna say yes.
I was just getting ready to ask that because I saw where it said its credit limit was $2,300, yet it was at $2,350. Would that cause a conflict? And apparently,
If
it gave you that.
Yes. So in this case, you have the option, right? You can go ahead and give them a call saying, "Hey, by the way, you're you went over your credit limit." Okay, and then you can deny them the service. Okay, but most, if it's a credit card, it makes sense, right?
And you have leeway on that.
Yes, but there are leeways to that. Yes, but in this case, I said, you know what? It's okay. It's only over by $100, or in this case, it's $300. But in this case, I'm like, they're good business. They're buying 3 cameras from us. But it depends on your company policy and what your business truly reflects. Is it okay? It's up to you, honestly, or whoever the owner of the business is. Are you willing to bypass that? And you also have to look at their track record too, because you have to also determine, are they a good customer? Do they make payments on time, etc., etc.? And will they make the discount period, etc., etc.? And you already gave them a discount, but you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But if we understand it like that, then the assumption is, are you willing to bypass that little message? Then you can choose to do so. But if you choose to deny them, then you're going to have to give them a call and say, "Hey, you went over your limit. I'm sorry, we cannot validate this transaction unless you pay." Okay? So with that being said, it is a company choice. But in this case, I said it's only $200. And they seem to be, this person, even though they owe us so much money, it seems to be okay to me because, they're going to pay me. Okay? So in that case, that's what happens when we use discount line items and the subtotal line items. All right? Any questions so far?
I think I'm okay with that. It's all right here, so I'm reading it as we go. And
Good. All right.
Even though I read it already, but until you're doing it, it doesn't. It really doesn't make a lot of sense until you start doing it. So
Okay, so let me show you this real quick, just because we're already here. Again, open invoice report is pretty standard and straightforward, right? So as you can see, we have a whole bunch of numbers that we see in our little customer center right here, okay? But if you just want to look at in a report form, or just looking at it in general, we can go ahead and create that report. Again, it's only pertinent for the sales person, right? So we're going to go ahead and go to sales, okay? Actually, this would actually more likely be invoices would be customer and receivables. Okay, and we're going to be looking at open invoices. Okay, so I was right. It was sales. Sales. No, it was right. Customers and receivables. Sorry, excuse me. I lost my mouse. Okay, so customers and receivables, right? Because we're looking at open invoices. So let me find it here. Drop a couple. Oh, sorry, hold on. Okay, there you go. Open invoice report. So once we did that, here it gives you a tally of all the reports that we have on our people. Excuse me, I need to kick my dog out.
Okay.
Okay. So again, if you want it in a report form looking kind of manner, this is what it would look like, okay? It gives you the list of all the customers that owe you money, but it also gives you the exact invoice number as well, okay? So it gives you this invoice, and it gives you the account balance as well. So, these are all the open invoices, okay? Another shortcut you want to see. So this is just a report form. Okay, you can't do you can click on them to show you the invoices, but you can't really do much about this report. Okay, another quick and easy way that we've also got to take a look at this is the income tracker. If I click on my income tracker, I get the same exact report. Okay, I get the people who owe me, the invoice number itself, and how much they owe me. Okay, and this one has an additional report to it itself as well, is that you get how many invoices are overdue and or unpaid, and etc. So you have the open invoices is the total of 7,000 that are unpaid, and then you have 7,000 of them are overdue. Okay, so
It's the same number. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, huh? I was like, oh, same number.
Yeah, because none of them made payments yet.
Right.
Now, and then also notice this too. You can definitely click on each one, right? And it will do the same thing. It will show you the information. However, this one, you have a little more flexibility to them, because you can modify them, and you can even right click to even receive a payment. So in this one, you're able to look a quick overview of them, not in a report form, and you're able to select which ones are people paid. You can even manage transactions and do more invoices or receive payments. So that's what's really cool about the income tracker. All right. Okay, so when we come back, we're going to talk about our next section, which is going to be what happens when we receive payments, okay?
Okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and stop here. And right now it is exactly 3:15.